Hello there, my name's Angela, and Explore Churches, that's the tourism wing of the National Churches Trust, have asked me to make these series of videos about making videos of churches. Hopefully, with the tips I'm going to share with you today, you'll be able to make better videos of your church and get people exploring your church. Underneath each video, you will find links which will take you to any gadgets that I recommend, any software that I recommend, and any videos by other people and organisations that I want you to watch for inspiration. The advice I give with all my training sessions is if you want to know how to do a specific thing with your specific make and model, type that make and model into Google along with the question. But not only that, make sure that you're searching Google for the very latest articles, and it's easy to do that if you know how. The same if you're looking for a YouTube tutorial, be very specific in the make and model of your camera or phone, and using the filter button, which is not easy to find but it's on there. You can also make sure that you're searching for the latest videos, and you can also look for the most popular videos to make sure that they're high quality. So for this video, I'm going to look at the inspiring work by other people and organisations that share the goals that your church has. So this will hopefully inspire you and give you lots of ideas for what you can do for your church videos. Firstly, do have a good explore of the YouTube channels of the big heritage organisations in the UK. So that's National Trust, English Heritage, and also the big museums, the Victoria and Albert and the British Museum. They've done some fantastic videos that show all sorts of ways of reaching an audience and getting them engaged with history and heritage. It's also really worth checking out the Explore Churches YouTube channel, which is growing week by week with fabulous new videos of churches that are very like your own. This first video I'm going to look at is almost like a radio broadcast, but with images placed against it. So they have two really enthusiastic experts talking about Lincoln Cathedral, and they've interspersed this with images of the cathedral. It's very simple to put together, but because of the knowledge and enthusiasm of the experts, it's very watchable.
Of the church, which brings the enormous weight of the stone vaulting above outside and helps to brace the building's lateral thrust. And
typically for English Gothic architecture, we notice that the clear story is set back. So there's a passageway in front of it, though that passageway is much narrower.
This next video is by a man called The Bald Explorer, and he's a YouTuber that goes around looking at lots of heritage sites, often churches. So it's a great channel to look at in terms of how you can film a church. He has a GoPro camera, about £300, on a gimbal, about £100, and a microphone. So basically it's just a one-man recording studio. So in this video here, you can see he has great enthusiasm for the church.
And here it is. Very, very, very quiet, very lovely. You can see up there the spire is, it's actually, there's a bell tower, a little bell cot, and then the spire.
The next video I want you to have a look at is one by two American travel bloggers who are brothers, and they call themselves the Vagger Brothers. Their videos are full of action, really well edited, use lots of clever techniques, and are clearly done on the hoof because they're very confident about just talking to camera in the street. And this little clip shows that. Now I think that what they've probably used here is a camera on a gimbal, so it's more steady, but just look how confident this chap is, speaking direct to camera, walking down the street and having a conversation with the viewer. There's no reason why you can't do this walking into your church and talking about the attractions of your church.
This place is crazy, super awesome. You hear the people, like the vendors, kind of calling out their wares.
Pork chops and ribeyes, 8 for a tenner, 8 for £5 today.
It almost reminds me of like Oliver Twist, you know? Like a little paper boy, you know, like, get your paper, £2 for a bonnet. I don't even know, it's so cool.
The next video I want you to look at is one that's associated with an event by the Yorkshire Museums Trust. What I really like about this video is the fact that they've got enthusiastic people talking to camera, both visitors and members of staff. They show lots of lovely shots of the building with a variety of angles, and also they include a time-lapse of the exhibit being built, which is fantastic and shows how interesting time-lapse can be to show something that happened over a matter of days.
Absolutely spectacular. It lives up to expectations and it feels very welcoming, and there's just such an amazing amount of work. It just felt so calm when you walked in and felt like you were in somebody's living room. Very, very lovely atmosphere. So yes, absolutely amazing.
This next video I recommend for inspiration is from the British Museum. And in this video we see an expert, an absolute enthusiast, talking about one single object. And you can do this for your church by talking about who made the item, who commissioned it, why they felt the need to commission it, what it's made of, has it been repaired, how is it conserved. All those things can be told the story around one object to get people visiting your church. So this video from the British Museum is about the night clock, and it's very fascinating, and the enthusiasm of the presenter just shines through.
It starts up here at the start of a week, and over the course of the week descends through the clock until it stops, until it hits the floor, or the line runs out. So that's where the energy to drive the clock is coming from. And behind it here, swinging in a very small arc, because this clock's worn out and tired, is the pendulum, and that's keeping the time, this regular beat, this swing. It's swinging left and right once a second.
This next video comes from the Victoria and Albert Museum, and they have a series of these where they get well-known figures related to the arts world to talk about objects that they love in the museum. And again, this is a very simple template that can be applied to your church. Somebody local who's very knowledgeable, enthusiastic and talkative can pick out an object in your church and say what it means to them. It may be very personally very relevant to them, or it may be a great example of the kind of object that person's enthusiastic about, such as stained glass or an organ or wood carving. So have a look at how the V&A set this up. They very casually chat with Paul Smith from the fashion world about the objects in their collection. Makes a very interesting video, and the people that are interested in Paul Smith find a way into looking at the objects in the museum.
When he was at university, he was always famous for making jackets out of curtains and looking very extravagant. He had this room in his house that was turned into a circus room one afternoon by him and his mates, really. And that's how this came about. We're so sort of immersed in good, in inverted commas, design today that it's quite nice to see things that are just self-indulgent and witty.
This is a video from English Heritage, and they've done a series of videos like this where they have somebody who's an actress dressed up in period costume presenting recipes a little bit like a modern TV presenter would. So it ticks the boxes of what's popular now in television, such as obviously cooking shows are hugely popular, but it gives it that heritage twist. So it is talking about English heritage, it's talking about history with historic recipes, and it's fun and entertaining. And it's beautifully filmed. There's lots of slow motion, lots of cutaways to see the lady's hands at work, and she presents this beautifully as a character from the past.
Now it's time for the filling. You can put almost anything in. Sausage meat stuffing filling is really nice. Marianne has already prepared my ingredients. She's chopped the mushrooms.
This video is from the National Trust and looks at winter in their Sherborne Park. As a church, you may well have a graveyard, and you may well have a lot of nature using that graveyard. So why not get a local expert in to do a tour of the graveyard, similar to this video, and talk about the wildlife that they see there. You can involve children in this video because it's lovely to enable children to appreciate the wildlife that might be on their doorstep that they don't know about. You could perhaps work with your local wildlife trust, who will have an expert on your local flora and fauna, who might be willing to work with you on this video, and then it would benefit your church and their organisation. Obviously, with this kind of video, you could present your church as a miniature nature reserve. You do have to be patient with wildlife though, and you may have to wait a long time before it dares to show its face. Another fantastic idea for getting a video made of your church is to talk to the teenagers in your community. They may have a passion for cinema, they may already be studying media, at college or at school, and you can make use of their natural affinity with the new technology and ask them to make a video of your church. Give them lots of creative control, let them have ownership of the video, and then make it a real big event when the video is shown in your church. Give them a film premiere, invite their teachers, invite the local press, make a big deal out of it. I'm sure the teenagers in your local community would make a fantastic video of your church and see it from an angle that perhaps you wouldn't. So I've spoken about getting teenagers involved in your church's videos. You can also get children involved, apart from appearing in your videos, which will make them very appealing to people. How about getting your children to make your church in Minecraft? Minecraft is hugely popular with children, particularly children of a primary school age, and there is a lot of tutorials on YouTube about building churches, medieval churches, using Minecraft. So get those kids to watch those tutorials and say to them, can you replicate our church in Minecraft? This will be fantastic publicity for your church. The press will really like this, and the children will enjoy doing it, and they'll enjoy the fuss and attention they get. So another really good idea for creating a video of your church that's going to stand out from the crowd is to contact your local amateur dramatic society. So perhaps the easier route to do this is to write a script telling a story from your church. There may be a very controversial event in the past that's still talked about locally, and the people in your church could recreate that as a radio play. And you can record their voices on video and then intersperse that with photographs that help tell the story. Or you could go even further and get them to actually play out the events of the past in the church and video that. So that would involve costumes, and it would involve a lot of planning and a lot of editing, but the results could be fantastic. Here's a story put together which is like a radio play telling the story of an actual murder that happened in a church in Tudor times.
Same lords of the town. I do recall how Cartwright jabbed a finger at the reverend and mocked.
The priest deserveth a good fee, he speaketh so like a lawyer.
The reverend turned the other cheek at this, who did not know of Cartwright's hot stomach and hastiness, but to no avail. The next day Cartwright started the quarrel anew in the marketplace for all to hear, and his speech was full of rage.
You scurvy, lousy, paltry priest! Whoever should agree with you is a rogue and a rascal, and I will cut his throat.
So what's really popular on television right now? We have the Bake Off programme, we have dance programmes, we have art programmes, all these activities, and you can replicate the template somewhat of these TV programmes but make it about your church. So why not have a Bake Off competition in your church and base your video on that? Why not have people learn to dance in your church in the way they danced 300, 400 years ago? All these things to link in what's popular right now, linking to your church and linking to the genuine history of your church. It's a way for people to get into your church.